Yes, it is still me, the Raggedyman. It is still us, Bunkazilla, and we are still here with the Big Stomp of 2020, a year in which large numbers of people spent many, many days at home staring into screens and not moving much because, once again, it's the video game section. And joining me to go through all the bytes and pixels of the year, we have four amazing people. And the first one to join us is going to be Lewie Kong. Hello, Lewie Kong. How are you today?
I'm very well. How are you? Glad to be back.
Wonderful. I am doing very well. I see your extensive collection of Pip-Boys has grown on your shelf. This brings me great joy. Also joining us, we have the amazing Ushio with his first time live streaming. So let's all be nice and gentle to the wonderful man, Ushio. How are you doing, Ushio?
Yo, how's it going?
It's going well.
Cool. Glad to hear it.
Coming in, we also have Harriett. Harriett, how are you doing today?
Not too bad. On yourselves?
Yeah, I'm good. The other two are good.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Sure?
Yeah. No, I'm doing good. Yeah.
This
Nearly the end of
pleases
the
me
year.
greatly. And finally, because this is a topic so wide, we needed to bring in a fourth person. We have Shenny!
I forget where my camera is. Hello.
Yo.
With his amazing background that hopefully this time won't eat his hand. So, start us off with a very small question. 2020 video games, what happened?
Stuff.
Yeah, lots.
Games were released.
Okay, narrow it down a bit. Narrow it down a bit.
It was very much the year of the indies, I think. Especially that with Among Us and Fall Guys, like small companies turning like games into like multiple opportunities of people to like play multiplayer with so many people online, especially in these times as well, where you need to kind of connect with people. It's just worked out so well. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, like the two that you mentioned, Among Us, which I was pretty late to the party too, and Fall Guys.
Everyone wants.
Yeah, and Fall Guys. You've got other games like Phasmophobia, which is another one that seems to be doing pretty well. Which is, I think, one guy doing it on his own, maybe a small team.
He's recently hired an extensive team of two other people on a part-time basis to lend a hand.
Cool.
I mean, it kind of begs the question as to whether these games would have done as well this year, but who knows?
Does that matter?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it matters particularly, especially with particularly Fall Guys. The popularity for that has dropped off quite significantly, and then you've got games like Among Us and Phasmophobia have kind of just filled in that void that people were looking for. So,
because I believe Among Us was out for a while before.
Yeah.
The
2
COVID
years.
2018.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's been out a while.
That's a proper sleeper hit.
To the point where I believe the dev team said that they were working on a core, which they then dropped to improve the base game and release it on other platforms, I believe.
They supposedly already dropped support for Among Us when it blew up. So they started back. Because they were going to work on something else because they got to the point where they were like, right, it's 2 years, we've had as much success as we're going to see, then it started blowing up. They wanted to work on Among Us 2, and then we're like, no, if we roll it back and work on the other, like the actual what we've already released, like we can keep the momentum going. And they said they were going to fix up a bunch of code, and the fact that they released it on Switch now is insane.
Not only that it's available on Switch, but it's also cross-platform, so you can play Switch and PC, and soon Xbox.
Considering that in January Switch hit 50 million units sold, it's a pretty good platform to be on. We have a question from the audience, from the Peanut Gallery for you guys. What's everyone's favourite co-op you played this year? Everyone's favorite co-op.
Played this year or was released this year?
Favorite new co-op you've played this year. I'm taking it as you've played. What's the favorite co-op you've played this year?
Well,
I have to say Among Us. Because I don't really do co-op games. I'm one of these people. I get terrible anxiety when I play with other people. So, and Among Us is a great game actually to play.
Yeah.
But people accuse you of stuff. But no, I'd have to say that because I've had the most fun out of it. Even though people think because I'm innocent, I'm the I'm the imposter straight away. But still, you just have a great laugh, and yeah, it's just been really fun to play.
Yeah, I think the whole lockdown issues really push people into a corner. People want to be communal and they just want to gather on games. And something like Among Us, where you're encouraged to interact with people, I think people just go into that, and it kind of helps them out that way. So it's one of these perverse things where the timing was good in the worst situation possible.
Yeah.
Lewie?
I'm not sure if it's necessarily a co-op game, but I've played a significant number of hours of Fallout 76 this year, just after the release of the big expansion back in March, April time. And that's been the game for me this year where I will play online with other people and chat with them.
Yeah, and that was a game that 6 or 9 months after launch, everyone had pretty much said was going to collapse, and it's still going quite strong. So
yeah, I mean, this year, despite everything that's going on in the world, this year has been the year for it. So they've released 2 major expansions, and it's just it's done incredibly well.
Cool. Shani?
Co-op wise, I think because I'm mainly an MMO gamer. I spent a lot of time on 14, so that was been my main communal output, still playing with friends through that, doing raids and stuff. But outside of that, I did the Animal Crossing grind when it first released for days, absolute months. Just visiting people's towns, helping them grab bugs, that kind of crap, which was just what I needed during the first lockdown. So I think arguably that, if you just ignore the MMO being just a communal game.
No, MMO's communal games. The co-op ish.
I mean, yeah, they are, but it's when you say co-op, I think 2-person co-op, or 4-person co-ops, Overcooked, something like that, or the Resident Evils, the
So I was going to say party games, but then you mentioned Resident Evil, and that's.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's a party.
Among Us doesn't really strike me as because Among Us doesn't really strike me as a co-op game, but it's just a very, very microcosm of how the judicial system just doesn't work. So,
it's interesting. You think, but the from what you guys are saying is that games are filling a social need. So that's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting they're able to do that, which I think is quite cool. We got another question coming up. More fun making it. Asking for a hugely biased point of view. Is it me or is retro really taking off this year?
Yeah, I would say so. Because if there are less people making games and all these games are being delayed, then don't worry about it. We've all got backlogs, and we can all add to our backlogs through eBay, Steam sales, anything. So games, once they're out, they're always out. So if the current games are still being delayed, then there's still opportunities to play games, and that's what that gap was. So yeah, why not get into the old stuff again? I've been playing PS3 games all year, so
fair enough. I didn't even know what actually counts as retro, because you've now got the new retro where people make faux retro games, which is just
they should define actual old games and stylized retro games.
Yeah. Because there's been a bunch of games that come out this year that I wouldn't say that there has been a gap in stuff to play, but there has been more pixelated games of that, things that are harking the retro aesthetic. Carrion was a lot of fun.
I was about to say,
and obviously the Stardew is still strong. And whatever, but then you have Street Fighter 4 got released, which is like a brand new game, but obviously has a very, very retro lineage.
Cool. So what? Any big things you noticed from the year, or any big trends you saw in the year, other than like the co-op and the retro-y look? Was there anything?
COVID delays were the big one. Other than that, I think other big companies are having to eat a lot of cake.
Although a number of because Warcraft had one of its most successful expansion launches, and I think it's currently the most successful expansion launch they've had, and that was done. That was delayed and finished
twice, I think.
Yeah, but that was done at home to a great extent. So it is still possible for large organizations, because let's face it, Blizzard isn't indie dev, to rock through it. So
yeah, I mean, we saw with using Final Fantasy 14 as an example, there was a 3-month delay in one of our content patches being released, which, because we had that stretched out the raid tier an exceedingly long time than a lot of people were used to, it brought to the forefront a lot of issues that we kind of had with the game. But because there wasn't any new content to distract us, it was very much a focal point of a lot of conversations for the past few months. But out of that, the dev team have basically turned around and said, look, okay, so we're only 3 months behind. COVID has kind of screwed us in terms of announcing the new expansion, which we would have had already announced by now, but now they're going to be doing that in February. But Square Enix as a whole, because of the way that they've had to shift their development cycles and working from home, have basically globally just said, if you want to work from home, you can literally just do that now, and that's now a company-wide policy. So even though there've been a bunch of delays, big companies have put into place methods that people can just work from home, and it's probably going to be a good thing for a lot of people and a lot of companies.
Well, yes, quite. I mean, it doesn't. I suppose it doesn't really matter. The company is going to be providing a work PC of some variety for these people to work on. So the only real thing that they're missing is the kind of creative stew pot, as it were, of working in a team together. But if you've got set tasks, then I don't see why the location of where you're working would make any difference.
I think it's more like a team environment stuff. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, sorry. I was going to. What was I? I can't remember what I was going to say now. Anyway, please continue.
No, it's just I think a lot of devs is if when they're working on something, they're working on something very, very close knit teams. So I'm not a games dev. I know the development side from a programming application standpoint, not gaming related. But obviously I've seen a shift where even in that industry, that people tend to be on calls a lot more and they talk through stuff a lot more. But obviously if you're not sat across from someone who could be designing something, you just have to trust your colleagues that they're doing the work. So that's probably a bit the biggest thing for them, is to just trust that the work's getting done. Which obviously in an era where crunch is just a huge factor for a lot of people, it's probably, I don't know, tense.
Crunch has come up as an issue that got quite. It's something that's always been there, but it got quite put in the news when Cyberpunk 2077 went into crunch mode after the people behind it said there will never be crunch at this company.
I think that's a problem that CDPR made for themselves, because I don't think anyone was under the impression that crunch wasn't a thing. At CDPR, the fact that they said, "Oh no, we're not gonna force them to do crunch," and then they turn around and go, "Well, actually," but the thing is, that doesn't they could even say that and say, "Oh, okay, we need them to crunch," and we're like, "Oh," but they've already been crunching for the past year, according to some reports. Crunch is a thing. They would say they're not crunching, but in reality, the devs have been crunching for a year before then.
CDPR and expectation management.
Destiny. Anthem was crunched. Like, I'm pretty sure that Fallout 76 was probably quite crunched by the lack of actual, like, just the amount of stuff in there that went wrong on its release. Like, I feel like it could have just done with more time. And obviously, Cyberpunk is a huge example where a lot of the stuff that they were promising just isn't in the game. And arguably, like, I've played that game cover to cover a number of times, and now it just needed more time. It just absolutely, like, I can see a gem of a game in there, just needed more time, and I wouldn't have bemoaned having that extra time on development for that.
Yeah. As it stands, it's now they fixed the bugs. Assuming you're on one of the 3 platforms that it works on, it's a perfectly fine GTA.
No, I think GTA is better than that.
I'll buy that.
GTA 5 is a better open world
I'll
game
buy
than GTA. Than
I just prefer the aesthetic. That's all it is. That's
Having recently picked up GTA 5 for the first time since its initial release, and I will openly admit I've not played Cyberpunk yet. It's quite astonishing to see the difference in some of the footage of Cyberpunk compared to GTA 5, which came out in 2014.
2013, I think. Yeah.
Oh, crikey, yeah. So
it came out a long time ago. I think like the version that people are comparing it to is the like the PC and PS4, Xbox One ports, because that introduced like first person mode.
Yeah.
Where that didn't exist in like, but the GTA 5 is a 360 game, so 360 PS3 game.
Yeah.
And it's still going strong. They've just released that new heist for it, and people are still spending money on it like gangbusters, and it's just I'm amazed that it's still going to the degree that it is.
It's actually going to be one of the first games to be played across 3 different platforms. 3 different generations. If they
excluding Skyrim, probably.
Oh yes, of course. I mean, you can play that on.
But no, I feel like it's I think one of the records is that it's I think over the last 10 years, it's the one game that's raked in the most money ever, or something like that. Like it's brought in a ludicrous amount of money for the amount of time it's been active.
It continues to make. That's pretty cool. Okay. So have there been any other highlights of the year, or personal highlights of the years for you guys? I mean, there has been a lot of fun things happening out there. Atari announced they were going to start being a hotel chain.
Of course.
Interesting.
Yeah. You may have missed that. Animal Crossing dropped. Final Fantasy VII, the remake that's. I think it's a 3-part or a 2-part remake, and the first part's got more content than the original. So
it's a big game. I've heard it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not played it.
I have yet to play it. I've got it on my PS4. I haven't played it yet.
It's good. It's going in a very different direction than obviously the original. So.
Oh God, Atari Hotel. Will it be in a desert built on a foundation of ET cartridges? Okay, that's a question.
What was the last thing that Atari actually did?
A press release saying they were going into hotels.
Seems legit.
Go bankrupt and sell their trademark to a bizarre hotelier. I don't know.
I can't wait to see that on Ramsey's Hotel Hells.
I know it's already been mentioned briefly, but obviously with Animal Crossing came Doom Eternal on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So
that was wholesome. That was good.
Yeah, the wholesome content of Isabel ripping and tearing, and Doom Guy enjoying catching bugs and whatnot, that has been the internet went absolutely wild for. is probably one of my favorite things so far this year.
I have to agree. The memes of those have been beautiful, especially like with Isabel sitting on the shoulder. I don't know the main character of Doom, but
Doom guy.
Doom guy.
Yeah. just like let's just rock and roll. Or my favorite one's the GIF where she's trying to shoot, and then next thing you know, she goes flying backwards.
Yeah.
I played neither of those, but it was very nice for the two different world of gaming to get on with each other and go, hey, your thing is cool. Hey, your thing is cool. That's nice. Yay.
Well, they're almost polar opposites as well. I mean, you get more awesome than Doom Eternal and the nightmare that is Animal Crossing. So,
because on the official Doom account, on the Twitter account, they were wishing Nintendo luck with the game and making little jokes about Isabel. So it was like they were embracing it, making it a thing, and it was just more fun. People like that.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the online moments. I think the other one that struck with me was Henry Cavill further proving his absolute geek credentials and building a PC whilst in lockdown, which was almost as insane as when he filmed himself painting minis, which was quite cool.
He's been an out and out nerd for a long time, because you know his story about how he almost missed the Superman call.
No, please tell.
No.
So his phone rang and he was like, "I'm busy at the moment. I'll get to it later." Turns out the phone call was Zack Snyder telling him that he was going to be playing the role of Superman.
Yeah.
What he was doing at the time was he was playing WoW, and he was in a dungeon, and he was like, "No, I'll get that later. I can't put that in what I'm doing right now."
I totally it takes ages to get sorted for a dungeon, so I totally understand it.
But the thing about him building a PC is that he's recently done it again. Because obviously he supposedly injured himself while filming The Witcher, and one of his latest Instagram posts was him I've got an Nvidia 390 or whatever it is, and there's a quote from the director. I'm not entirely sure if it's true. I just thought it was quite funny, but he was just like, "I hope that he didn't injure himself so he could just go play video games." And then he posts this Instagram post being, "I've got a 3090."
How did it? I mean, I know the guys was doing well, but I didn't realize he was getting a 3090 well. Jesus.
I mean, of course he is.
I mean, he also collects codies, which are ridiculously ridiculously expensive.
He collects what?
It's the Warhammer faction that he collects and paints, I believe.
What was the name?
Custodes or Custodes.
Custodes, right.
So, yeah.
Just flexing them nerd muscles.
Big old nerd muscles. I mean,
Harriet, have any opinions on him?
He's a good-looking guy. I haven't actually seen Witcher. I should actually sit down at some point and watch it. But fair play to him for putting the PC together. It was interesting to watch. I'm not going to lie, because I've no clue what a PC is, so I'm just actually watching this man put a PC together and thinking, this is fascinating, and the fact that he seems so down to earth as well, and that's really cool. The fact that he was playing a dungeon before he got the call was none of priorities, just shows that he's a true nerd, true geek, true gamer.
Oh, he's pretty cool. Were there any other serious gaming moments of the year that you remember fondly in your heart of hearts?
Oh god. Do you know what? I've only played a few proper games this year. Animal Crossing being one of them. Because that came down at the perfect time when lockdown began. But that was good, discovering new things. I'm just trying to think what else. What other games have I been? Yeah, it's
been a what?
Because good stuff has come out, but it's always been shrouded with drama. Because we haven't had anything I don't know, I guess we're online a lot more, so literally everything Doom Eternal coming out is cool, we like Doom Eternal, and then there was the whole business with the soundtrack, and Mick Gordon supposed to be not pulling his A game for it and kicking off a big storm, and it was put together like there was a ton of like backlash regarding that. There was all sorts of like good stuff, and then just I don't know, like added drama, crunch stories.
The Last of Us 2 had an awful lot of like stories to it, didn't it?
Yeah.
There's been. It seems as though people have had a lot more time to not just to play games, but also talk games and look at news on games. So it's joined the shouting classes to a certain degree of just people trying to lose their shit as a sign of appreciation.
More time for opinions.
Say again?
Yeah.
More time to have opinions.
Yeah, rather than just getting on frag. It's I mean, some of it's been good. There's been like Ubisoft got called out for sexual misconduct, for mishandling sexual misconduct claims, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and they responded to that like any big company and just kind of washed it away. Like they supposedly sacked the people that were the heaviest offenders. They had a bunch at Twitch as well, but the fact that they put that little video before the little Ubisoft showcase thing, and it's like, okay, yeah, but like you do this video saying, we're against harassment in the workplace, and and meanwhile you then go and showcase Assassin's Creed Valhalla where your biggest offender was the game director. Like it's very difficult. I mean, I guess it is very difficult to like disassociate a person's work from quote unquote the art, but like that game was made by thousands of people, not just him. So
that I was going to say, when you got huge teams, if you get rid of the offender, you got rid of the offender. So it's a complicated one. But do you think the community's got better or worse? If it's possible for fans to get worse, or do you think it's just been like a step? Because
do you mean like the Assassin's Creed community, or just
just generally the gaming community?
No.
Or I think to a degree it's polarized more, if that makes sense. There does seem to be like a good camp and a bad camp.
They've always been good camps and bad camps. I think the good camp is, I think, a bit more vocal now. But the bad camp is always, well, depending on where you sit in, what is the bad camp?
Yeah, obviously.
The quote unquote bad camp is always going to be the one opposed to you. So therefore, gamers TM don't like games journalists that are asking these questions, and they want they don't want reviews around the topics explored within the game. They want to know if the graphics are good and the guns work well. It's not like
I'm more thinking of the ones that send death threats to developers for there being a bug in a game and that kind of malarkey.
Well, yeah, but those people are not well-adjusted individuals. Like it's hard to.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Or if it's a carrot that they don't like either.
Sorry?
Either like a voice actor, because
right, okay,
yeah.
Platform-wise, we've had a lot more people using Twitch. We've had a lot more Twitch gaming happening. Is that something you guys have been? I don't know. It's ironic asking it here when we're trying to get as many viewers as we can. Have you been watching more Twitch? You've been watching more Twitch game playthroughs? Is it something that has seeped into your hearts, or?
I mean, no more than usual.
Same.
I watch a lot of Twitch, to be fair. So like my Twitch absorption or watch count is about the same as it was last year.
I like a lot more on YouTube myself, so I'm more on the YouTube side.
I'm more YouTube as well.
I can watch it in my own time as opposed to watching it live. Then I can just coordinate my viewing to when I'm ready for it, as opposed to when somebody else is doing it. So I don't know.
Not to continue being negative, but I've actually gone the other way with Twitch and kind of stopped watching it as much, just because of some of the practices and things that they've announced this year, just making it a seemingly hostile environment for new streamers or just stuff in general. I mean,
the takedowns, that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, one of the big ones was the guitarist from Dragon Force, DCMA for playing his own songs. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Let the man play.
I mean,
Everyone wants to hear it.
I mean, the thing with that is that the system is working. That's the problem with it. Is that like, yeah, someone getting DMCA'd for their own song is ludicrous, but it's not him that's doing it. His music company or the people who have done it have sold or are paying another company to strike literally everything so that he gets his royalties. Like,
I wasn't suggesting that it was him.
No, I get that. So, like,
it's Twitch working too well, particularly with like the release of well, not the release, but the kind of push for Twitch things and whatnot this year.
Well,
I think
that's going to get completely annihilated because there's no way that they can. Because like I tried to follow the DMCA stuff real closely, and the way that Twitch has handled it has been abysmal. So if you get a DMCA strike, you are meant to be told what you are struck for. Twitch didn't do that. They just said, we had a bunch of these, we just deleted the content, don't worry about it, don't infringe DMCA again. So a lot of creators were like, no idea what the hell they broke DMCA for. And some people still don't know. There was a bunch of confusion where someone unearthed an AWS server that just hosted clips and past streams, and if you knew the channel codes, you could find someone's deleted content.
Wow.
A lot of people were assuming that this was the content that they were getting DMCA struck for because they had basically deleted stuff using Twitch's system, and they were still getting struck for it. Turns out that Twitch was just late in telling people what they were getting struck for. So while someone did unearth an absolute goldmine of old content that is meant to be deleted, even from banned creators, people were assuming that's what they were getting DMCA strikes for when they were just sat on Twitch's system for months and months and months.
And their advice to streamers was pretty shocking as well.
Yeah, Band-Aid patch, delete it.
DCMA'd, either delete the content or mute the music.
Mute game audio. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't just like mute DMCA content, it was mute the audio.
Yeah.
So there were a bunch of memes where people were playing Guitar Hero muted because there's no other way to get around that. Although interestingly, like they did bring out Twitch soundtrack, which is meant to be a Spotify type thing, where it doesn't. Technically, they've got music licenses for the stuff that plays on it. The other companies rise up that said, "Look, we have a specific license for you to be able to stream this content, and it is from music creators that you know of. And we try to get more and more and more and more." And there was an update to open broadcasting software where you can select if you can split your audio channels. Anything on track 2 doesn't get saved to a Twitch VOD. So your Twitch VOD, you can technically play music on your stream, and then your Twitch VOD will be sans music. So there are now slowly tools coming out, not from Twitch, but from other people trying to get around this problem. But the general advice is that I'd give people is don't play music on your streams unless you 100% know that it is not going to be DMCA claimed, and you don't know that without speaking to the license holders.
That's one thing 2077 did, was it put in the option to remove DMCA-able content so that everything...
But it didn't do all of it.
Yeah, apart from the ones that it missed.
Yeah, apart from the ones that didn't get flagged and still get DMCA claimed.
Oh, right. Didn't know about that. They tried. Bless them.
Doesn't that sum up Cyberpunk 2077? They tried.
I mean, yeah.
And the attempt was made.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about the epileptic thing. Let's just roll that back real quick. It's just a mess.
Sorry that if your save file gets to 8 meg, it's completely corrupt. Solution: don't play in a way that will get you up to 8 meg. That was an actual.
I couldn't believe that was real. Like I saw that.
You guys know this?
Yeah.
No.
was aware of.
People identified on the forums that as soon as a save file reached 8 meg, that it just nuked your game.
Cool.
Your save file
Nice.
just died. Horrible death. And they eventually and CDR Projekt Red said no, it doesn't. And then they eventually worked out that it was because every time you craft anything or disassemble anything, it saves that as part of your save file. So if you use the crafting path, which is one of the 5 basic paths of the game, and you do it enough to progress, you blow the game up. And their entire suggestion was, well, don't play in such a way that will cause you to hit 8 meg. And so it's like, yeah, we made this game, just don't play it this way or it'll kill your file. By the way, there isn't a problem. That was...
Oh, no. No.
That was special. That was you're looking at that and you're going, wow, you actually think you solved that. Okay.
Trying to find my save file and see how big it is.
Almost sounds like Todd Howard's "It Just Works."
Yeah, it was.
Goodness me.
Anyway, what else? It was the end of the Nintendo 3DS is no longer officially supported. Being discontinued by Nintendo.
But everyone's got Switches now, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but still.
I love
Whenever you hear about a
Nintendo
Nintendo
handhelds.
product no longer being supported, you kind of feel sorry for it. Sony,
Unless it's the Wii U. Unless it was the Wii U.
even then, you're just like, oh, you tried so hard. You were useless, but you tried.
No good. It's no
It
good.
was, yeah, but someone like Microsoft or whatever discontinue. Everyone's just, yeah, whatever, right? Okay, when's the next coming? But anything from Nintendo, you're just like, oh, sorry.
Yes, when they normally discontinue a console, there's a bit of a rush for like end of stock, or there'll be a clear out sale or something.
Yeah.
But when the 3DS got announced, it was gone. All the prices were like over retail price. Like they'd already run down the stock. There was nothing left. So I don't know. I kind of wanted to get like a spare one because my old one's really knackered, and it would have been nice to have like a fresh one just to keep me going for the next few years. But nope, gone. Absolutely gone.
That has to be one of the big stories of this year. Has to be scalping, because the 30XX series of Nvidia cards that got scalped to hell. You still can't get a 3090 for love nor money, or unless you're Henry Cavill. Same thing happened with the PS5 and with the Xbox. So PCs next gen got scalped. Xbox next gen got scalped. PS next gen got scalped. All the 3 big power platforms, they got blitzed, and it made people angry.
I feel like if you didn't get a 3090, then you actually missed a bullet, because the first generations were real bad.
It would have been nice to have had the option to find out rather than see.
No.
I mean, they're already
600 quid for something, and it just like, oh, they didn't put enough transistors in this. It just died.
Yeah, but now you're paying 1,200. You're paying 1,200, 1,500 for it if you want to try and get one. So anyway, away from Shenny, how do you guys feel about? I mean, do you think that was a major story, or is that just part of how things are? Or
It's part of how things are.
Yeah, it's part of how things are.
I mean, it's anything. It's not just consoles. It's just like things in general that's popular. It's just like, boom, gone. It's just, it annoys me so much. But the fact that it's nothing unusual that you see scalpers, and then next thing you know, you see a PlayStation for like, £1,200, and you think someone will probably buy that, even though it's ridiculous. But they have you over a barrel, but it shouldn't be that way. You know, it's terrible.
Do you think the sellers, the initial sellers like Xbox and like Microsoft and Sony and Nvidia, do you think they have any responsibility? Because with Nvidia, we're talking about bulk purchasing of very, very, very flimsy defenses against this? Do you think there's also complaints about the defenses for Nintendo, for the Xbox and for the PS? Do you think this is something that the sellers should be looking to try and counter? Because obviously somebody's going to get through, but not at the levels that they have been.
I mean, Microsoft in particular need to address their UK sales in particular, not just from scalping, but just in general, because two of the only two companies that you could buy from on release were Game and Smith's Toys. Oh, and Amazon. Amazon, it wasn't so much of an issue, but Smith's Toys died a death. Their website died a death, as did the Game website, putting people into queues of like 1,500 people, which is ridiculous, because I would almost certainly guarantee that they wouldn't have had that much stock. So it surprises me that both Sony and Microsoft didn't produce more stock, because I mean these are the biggest launches in a very close period of time. Or sorry, two biggest releases in a very close period of time. So it's like, oh my god, everywhere sold out of consoles. Like, shocked. Just it's a shocked face here, because who thought it was going to be a surprise?
I don't think anyone.
I mean, like they announced COVID delays were the reason for delaying the launch of this. So are people that surprised that there's not enough launch units?
It's the internet, man. People are always going to be.
Then, like, there's no.
There's always someone who's going to miss out.
I mean, true, but like there's nothing out on the PS5 or Xbox Series X at the moment. Like, you can wait till next year and won't miss out. So.
I don't think people were surprised that there were less units available. I think it was the proportion that went directly to scalpers upset people.
That's probably true.
But that's just people playing the system. I don't think that's not arguably Sony's fault, right?
It depends.
Because they go, here's a bunch of units, and these people now have to get rid of those units. And if those people's systems are open to scalpers, that's like Smith Toys, Amazon's, Argos's fault. Like, it's not Sony's. They're gone, well, we've given you everything we have.
There was also, they had the issue with the direct sales.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Did they do direct sales?
Yeah, stateside they did.
Oh, stateside, right.
Yeah.
Microsoft
I think there was like one big company, they had a big load of stock come in, and I think they launched it on their website at about 5 a.m, and the only person who's going to be up there is like an automated bot. So, you know, those customers definitely missed out to the scalpers for sure, because that's just a silly time to launch it. Launch it midday, tell everyone ahead of time, and, you know, first come, first serve.
Put in some kind of safeguards.
Well, multiple companies did that. Argos did it. I think they released a load of theirs at like 2 a.m. I think Game and Amazon both released the second wave of releases at like another stupid hour. Because you'd see tweets of people being like, "Oh my god, Game are going to release a load of new consoles. Release the second wave of consoles at whatever time." It's like, well, yeah, you're never going to get one, so why bother?
See, from a developer from a IT support standpoint, that's like common practice to update your systems at like the dead of night.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It doesn't go down, but like it's weird to think that people are like irked by that because
I totally get that. I mean, I work in technical support anyway, so I get that the best time to do that sort of thing is
when your system's not getting pounded.
Yeah, you reboot your server at 4 a.m. You're like, there you go.
Yeah. So you're just viewing it as just an inevitability, and people have to just work with it.
I mean, personally, like it's not. This year, considering how scuffed literally everything has been, I very much doubt that there was that everyone was going to get what they wanted.
Oh no!
I was very surprised when Xbox were like, "Here's the hell the mini one is called," because I was looking at that thinking, "Oh, I might pick one of those up just in case they do release the occasional thing. And I'll get a PS5 at some point. Don't know when that will be.
Yeah, there's no rush. There's no rush right now.
No, there's literally no rush.
I mean,
It's been weird that though, because like this, I think this is one of the first generations where I'm like, there's nothing. Like there is no rush for a console, because normally you look at a launch game and go, I want to play that game, therefore I need this console.
Yeah.
But there just hasn't been anything, or there've been relaunches or updates. I think the big conversation actually this year was about the fact that a lot of games are just going to get free updates to the new generations. That seems to be the big selling point for them, as opposed to like brand new games that just aren't ready yet.
Yeah. Which is good, because you can buy them and play while you're waiting, and play them on your previous gen systems, and then you get the smart delivery or whatever the Sony equivalent is for your next gen console whenever you get it. So
yeah, I think the Spider-Man game was bricking PS5 consoles as well. So let them work out the details, and then maybe buy one. I think if you put it in sleep mode while the game was running, it would affect quite badly. It's fixed now. But it was a problem. It was a problem. So you don't want to be first gen.
Yeah.
First gen consoles are always risky, because you heard so many stories about the Red Ring of Deaths on the old Xboxes. There was a PS3 issue where things were just overheating, and the
the 60 gig one.
Oh Christ, what was it? It was, I think the thermal paste was just coming off, so that the processor would just slip off the fucking it was so that would get a light.
That's not good.
No, but you had these problems with other consoles as well, like PS. Touchwood, my first gen PS2 is still fine, but it's lived in a shoebox for the last 10 years. But there were reports of that being quite dodgy on launch day after a while.
Yeah, there just seems to be that weird expectation that the game will suck on the first day and that the console will suck on the first day.
Yeah, it sucks being an early adopter.
Yeah.
Or buying it on the day of release.
Well, yeah. I mean, the same could be said for anything, even down to PC and PC hardware. Like, you don't really want to go out and spend your money on a new processor until
always buy one gen under the cutting edge.
Yeah, exactly. So
because you'll buy the new processor, and then you'll find out 6 months down the line it's got a huge security flaw on it.
Yeah. I'll also be honest, from the PC world. My urge to buy a 390 was pretty academic. There aren't many games out there that will benefit a 390, and they cost a stupid amount of money. So I was more, I want all the secondhand 2070s to come out. It's. But I'm interested that you guys, as consolers, aren't bothered about the next console. It's supposed to be the thing you're all hyped up about. You're supposed to be having gooey dreams about it.
Nah.
I'm hyped about the games.
I've not been a huge console person, so
Okay.
I've developed more towards handheld stuff nowadays, so I'm literally in no rush to get a PS5. I mean, I love my Switch, so I'm just kind of addicted to that. But like others have said, there are not many games out at the moment, so there's nothing really to kind of pull me in. So I'm just going to wait and see. I think the only console I bought when it first came out was the 3DS, and touch wood, never had any problems. But apart from that, I would rather wait and let the bugs kind of disappear and then take it from there.
Especially when like you have the 3DS, but then the 3DS XL is the better console version of that, because you've got the larger screen real estate and everything else. And then like the Switch came out, and then you started seeing different versions of the same Switch that had a slightly better battery life. And then there were rumors about a Switch Pro. So there were rumors that there would be like a more powerful Switch.
Right.
But I think people misunderstood that rumor as like, because obviously the Switch Lite got released, which doesn't have the docking features,
right?
And has less battery life. Or is it more? I forget the details. But people were thinking like because Nintendo have always released a handheld, like a better version of the handheld at some point, that a Switch upgrade would come somewhere down the line. And if the Switch type of console is going to be what they want to do, there will at some point be a better version of the Switch, whether that's a brand new console or an updated version, like the PS4 Pro, One X, whatever. Arguably the PS5, we might see a PS5 Pro before PS5s are actually like more widely available. We might see a Series X2 or whatever it is. Like, I think a lot of people are just waiting on any console releases now just to see what the lay of the land is in 6 months to a year's time.
Caution seems to be the watchword, but
especially when they're so expensive.
Yeah,
definitely seems to be the word for this year. So, going to the inevitable. Favorite games of the year. Shall we start with Ushio? Favorite games of the year?
No.
Yeah, the one there.
On the spot.
I'll go safe. I'm going to say Animal Crossing. It was in the right place at the right time, and everybody just needed that, just a bit of wholesomeness at that moment, you know. And I've gone cold turkey on it. I've stopped playing because it will just get to you. But it was good over summer. And now I'm out. But it was good. It was good at the time.
Yeah, I stopped playing in April, and now I'm dreading going back to it at any point.
All the
I can't handle the guilt.
I don't want to like turn up and then be like, "Where have you been?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I had things on.
Yeah.
I let the town go to shit a little bit. Let me I'll get on those weeds.
Yep.
I get enough of that from my parents. I don't need that from Harriett.
I have to agree. Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
I know I sound like I'm like a shadow, but it did come at the right time. I really took my time with it. When everyone else had towns and villages, I was still just trying to rack up weeds. So yeah. I'm a very late bloomer to it, though. Like Ushio said, Shani, I've left there for a while. I haven't been for it since Thanksgiving, I don't think. So so I've completely missed Christmas. I miss snow, but time travel, I can go back and do that. Yeah, that's the one thing. I don't travel forwards. I travel backwards, so I don't like miss anything. I know that sounds weird. I just the fear of missing out, sort of thing. So,
it's real. It's real.
Yeah, it is. And the guilt, like you said, I was away for 3 weeks, and like my favorite villagers were just like, "Where have you been?" I'm like, "I'm sorry. Okay, I'll never leave again." And then obviously you just go.
I'm sure this isn't a hostage situation.
Yeah. Which one's the hostage?
Lewie.
Yeah, Animal Crossing.
Oh God!
It's not the game that I've played the most this year, but it was the game that kind of, well, as the others have said, like it was the game that came out at the right time. It was a game. It wasn't the game that we deserved, but it was one that we needed.
Right.
And it was. I mean, I went to tea parties with friends over like video calls while we were playing, and it was just like I played games online with people who I very rarely speak to, just because it was one of those games. Like I'd log on at 7:30. I'd start work at 7 o'clock, log on to the Switch at 7:30. And there'd already be like 7 or 8 people already playing Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
It sounds like a very cute version of a cult.
I just remembered, I think I went to a wedding, an Animal Crossing, because a couple of my friends, they couldn't get married. So they actually held an online wedding. Which was really
brilliant.
Cute. Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
I think that would be like my highlight of the year. It was just so wholesome, and you just got all dressed up. Yeah, I put on a tuxedo. I loved it.
Oh, Shani, are we going for the shutout, or are you going to pick something else?
No, I'm actually going to pick something else. So,
okay.
My favorite game of the year was Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Nice.
mainly because an RPG about a 30-something-year-old fuck up speaks to me on an emotional level. But it was a really good, like, if you think like if you've ever played the other Yakuza games, they've always been like action games. The remakes have been really pretty. And really like delved deep into the story and expanded on it and everything else. But then the fact that they were like, oh, we'll make it Yakuza 7 with a new cast of characters, and then they just flipped on its heel, made it an RPG because of an April Fool's joke, and have it to be one of the best RPGs I've ever played is actually generally quite amazing. And the story is fantastic. It's full of cringeworthy and amazing moments, like absolutely amazing moments. I would recommend checking it out if you haven't.
Cool. And last couple of moments, what are people looking forward to the most? What are you most hyped for 2020? Same order. So Harriet, no, Ushio, sorry.
Probably getting a vaccine.
Okay, vaccine the game. Harriet,
Same.
go Team Science. Okay, Lewie, with a video game most looking forward to?
Oh god. Being able to play Fallout 76 on I don't have to wait 5 minutes for a load screen.
Fair enough.
Because, you know, I'm sick of seeing the inside of my apartment.
Fair enough. And Shenny?
I think I'm going to go with a patched Cyberpunk.
Patched Cyberpunk. Probably a very good choice. I look forward to
Actually, I've just thought of one. The new Resident Evil game.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to see what the new creatures are and the carry on with number 7. But yeah, love that. I'm looking forward to that.
Splendid stuff. Well, the time is ticking. Thank you very much for your thoughts about this wonderful year in video games. We look forward to getting your thoughts on the Big Stomp in the next when we go into the next year. Thank you, Lewie. Thank you, Ushio. Thank you, Shenny. Thank you, Harriet. We have the TV crew up in a couple of minutes. Thank you all for watching. Run that video, Mr. Station Controller. Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.